good morning to you back. Hope that you had an opportunity to hear the earlier show before 8, talking about that gospel event that's going to be coming up with Pastor Wendy Peterson in Unity. They'll be on East Russell Street on Saturday. Again, that information is available for you. But we're back now, and certainly we are excited about this interview that we have. Dr. Lucinda, let me say it again, get it right.
Luciana.
Dr. Luciana Stackhouse, Yarborough. She's in with us. She's a veteran, and we're going to be talking today about understanding the Powers Act for veterans. And we have a service dog with us. I walked out, I know a little bit about dogs, so I said, that's a Malinois. And she said the dog was friendly towards me, but I'm a friendly guy. So I appreciate it. Anyway, Dr. Yarborough, good morning to you, and welcome to the studios of WIDU.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So look, you brought the team along with you. I'll let you do your introductions to the rest of the team.
Well, again, my name is Dr. Luciana Stackhouse Yarborough. It's a little long, but that's who I am. I have with me today one of my colleagues and the owner of Rod Right Services, Mr. Brian Thomas.
Hello.
And I have my son, one of my prized possessions, my baby boy, Sire Yarborough, and which is also a student at Phil State University. And the service dog is his buddy and our best friend.
Excellent. Okay. And, like I say, I remember Malinois in the 80s when law enforcement started using them. They used to use a lot of German Shepherds. And like I said, I was a dog handler. I had a drug dog, was a golden retriever. And but these dogs, they're very smart. They're some of the smartest dogs.
Absolutely.
Malinois, I seen this federal police officer, the handler where you can go to a car and you pop it up. And he tells the dog to get in the car, and the dog would go and take his nose and pop the door open.
And get in the car.
And get in the car, and people are like, oh my God.
And we're the owner of 2 Belgian Malinois, and they are just that smart. They can go in the bathroom on their own. They patrol the house like we have a 2-story house. And it reminds me of the synchronized lawnmower team at the jail when one's on one floor, the other's on the other floor, and they meet in the middle. And then they'll sit there for a few seconds, and then the other one will go upstairs, and the other one will come downstairs.
That's awesome.
They have the remarkable ability to know when something's not right, and 99% of the time they own it. They know when you're sick, you don't feel well. They can detect danger.
Right.
In so many ways, and you really don't know until you see that. And because we work with other agencies to get, to include Autism Society of North Carolina, they've gotten to see some of the skills that the service dog actually has, even at Federal Tech. I had a lady tell me one day my son was getting ready to cross the street, and he wasn't paying attention. And the dog went to the end of the street, and he stopped. And he waited until all the cars were gone, and then gave my son the signal, hey, we can cross now. I said, oh, I know he can do that. He also learned sign language when my son was taking a class in sign language, and the young lady that was teaching him, I happened to see her walk in one day, and she started signing to my son. And the dog moved. I said, oh, wait a minute. What just happened here? And she says, well, dogs learn by body language and gestures.
Right.
So while she was teaching him introduction to ASL, the dog learned it too. Okay. And that wasn't even part of the plan. I just noticed that he started moving when she started signing.
Wow. Well, look, let's talk about that. The service dog boom, because it's not something that has been, I don't think our society has been acclimated to service dogs that long. But let's talk about that, the introduction of that, and how you became interested in it, and what you've learned with regard to legislation, and for people that want to use service dogs and educate our listeners about that issue.
Well, we became a proud family, or a proud parent of a service dog when my son turned, I would say, about 14 or 15. In a case management meeting, you have to say, well, hey, what's your vision for your child? And because I knew there was a need there, a parent with a child that has different disabilities, your vision for your child is the same as anybody else's. It's just how are we going to accommodate that? How are we going to get them to what that vision is? And when the case managers looked at me one day and she said, well, he functions so high, why don't you just get him a service dog? I said, what is that? I grew up with uncles with pit bulls that was chained to shade trees, and they throw cheeseburgers at them. You know, like, we didn't have dog food. Your dog back then ate the scraps. That's what we call
That's
it.
look.
You know, you eat whatever they ate. And I said, well, you know, what is that? And she began to educate me on, you know, what the expectation was, what the dogs can do. And then under the North Carolina Medicaid Independent Living Initiative, they have what they call the Community Navigator Service. So my son qualified for that. And under that service, they were obligated then as one of his goals to find me information on service dogs. And for about a year and a half, we interviewed. We went to animal breeders. What we were calling compounds by the time we went to so many, you know, and we ended up settling on a agency called Creations Canine. Mr. John Wrigley, I have to give him a shout out, one of the best trainers known to man. When I tell you he did a remarkable job, and I learned a lot from him, because while we were running around looking for the dog, he looked at me and said, Ms. Yarborough, the dog's gonna choose him. I was just blown away. I was like, well, should I be looking for a Labrador? Should I be looking for a Golden Retriever? You know, what should I be looking for? And he said, oh, wait a minute, pump your brakes. Wherever you go, the dog's gonna find him. And when we walked in for him to initially meet him, the bond was like just instantaneous. Like he wouldn't leave him alone. And it was a different type of he wouldn't leave him alone. It wasn't one of them where I'm just super friendly, I'm a wag, you know, that type stuff. When I looked at him, I said, and I looked at Mr. Wrigley, and he said, he's the one. And that day, you know, hey, I wrote a check for the dog, and he left with Mr. Wrigley, and it's been a bond ever since then. And I feel like individuals, since we didn't know a lot about it then, I came up in the era where they would give you prescriptions for everything. You know, if you need the psychotropic drugs, the ADHD, the OCD, everybody was writing prescriptions at that time. And my son was getting some of those same prescriptions, and something in my spirit just said, I got to stop that. Because I was riding down the road one day, and I noticed every time I turned, he would fall one way. And if I turned this way, he would fall the other way. That means the medicine was dumbing down who he was. And I said to myself, I'd rather have a child that jumps all over the place, and because he would get on top of the sectional and just jump. And I decided that I'd rather have him that way than to have him drugged up. But I had a supportive family. You know, I have to tell y'all, my family was dynamic. Like we didn't have an issue where he wasn't accepted for who he was. I even had a family meeting and told him, don't y'all never tell him that he's hearing impaired. Don't ever tell him that he's on the spectrum, because my standards for him was no different from my undiagnosed children. Mm-hmm. And my family we fell in, you know, like they was just on point. And I think sometimes it's not just the diagnosis itself, it's your support team, you know, and I had to learn to inundate myself with services. And I don't just mean services for him. The dog has to be trained. And then he had to be trained to know what the dog knew. So it's a 2-part buddy system series. And in the interim, I had to learn what both of them knew. So it wasn't just, it's not just a segment. So when you think about getting into service dog services, just know that this is not a 30-minute process. I think it took us about I want to say a year and a half before he was actually paired with him, and that's when he graduated from Jack Britt High School. And that was the first day that the two of them, because he graduated from his training, then he graduated from high school. And then my team said that's the best time to go ahead and bridge them. And then he had to start going to Camp Lejeune, to Maysville, where Mr. Wrigley was, so that he could learn what the dog knew. So he had to train him too.
Excellent.
And when I tell you it's been a journey, but is it a worthwhile journey? Absolutely.
Right.
I'll tell anybody that, that's willing to embark on that to just be ready. Have a family that can, talk to your family. Let them be supportive. Be financially inept. I can't even say stable because you never know what it's going to cost. Because we live in North Carolina, and as I know, North Carolina service dog services are not billable. The difference between, we have two acts that we kind of want to talk about today. One is the PAW Act and one is the PAWS Act. The PAWS Act is for military. It's for puppies for service members.
Is that, spell that?
It's PAWS,
Okay.
like a puppy's paw,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got an S on it. And that's specifically for what the provisions are for the military. And a lot of people ask, well, hey, can you train my dog? You can train your dog, but the military is not going to train your dog. Most of these services have their own trainers. They have their own agencies that are certified, that are on the vendor list, and they pair you with an animal based on what your needs are. Service dogs are not cookie cutter. Like Mr. Thomas is right here. My son's dog's not going to do nothing for him but say, hey. He already knows that this is his job. He's trained. You see him with the vest on now.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's at work. Once you take the vest off, he's trained to do border patrol. Then everybody in here becomes his territory, including you guys. Because then he's going to guard this whole room and not just work for that person. But he was trained to do so. And I can look at him and tell when he takes the vest off, these gentlemen will tell you he's a whole different dog. But then he's gonna worry if something's wrong with you. He'll leave him and come to you, or whoever's not feeling well in here, he'll go to you. And then I'll look at him and start talking to him. We talk to our dogs like I'm talking to you, and they understand. I mean, they thoroughly understand. I have a lot of success stories. I've paired, I'm an AKC breeder of Belgian Malinois as well. But we're out of the breeder business now. I'm more of the border liaison with my business, Redwood Threat Management Services. And I've paired up with Rod Wright, with Mr. Thomas as well. And we want, one of my motto is let's do dogs, not drugs. I don't think people need all of that. That could be my spiritual and professional opinion, but I've seen it work in my family and with the individuals that have my dogs. I get success stories all the time.
Sure. So now when you're talking about the PAWS Act, which is veteran-oriented,
Mm-hmm.
The difference in civilians with service dogs, and you find, now a lot of places, they have service dog signs up
Mm-hmm.
saying, service dogs are welcome, things like that. What about those two venues? The difference between, a veteran and I guess, is that something that the VA will pay for?
The VA will cover the cost of the service dog training,
Right.
and they will pay you with the animal, but you have to be trained. You got to be willing to be trained.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, and I can only speak for myself, the services you get for the VA, they're just not going to hand it to you. You got to go take the training. You have to be qualified. You have to follow the structure that they have up for their policies in order to get those type of services. As a civilian, I would encourage people that thinks that, that they feel like they may need a service dog, talk to their practitioners, their doctors, their case managers or therapists, and say, hey, am I a good candidate for this? And then they can give them the paperwork to do it the civilian way. But there's a lot of cost that incurred in that. And I say this to say, before the legislation for the PAWS Act, we've had service dogs since what year, sire? Since 2018?
I was about to say like 2018 years.
Yeah, since 2018. And I wasn't aware, and the legislation was just, it was taught then. And so we had to do our own funding. I didn't get the benefit of doing that. And the other thing is he's not my dog. He's his dog. So he's not a veteran. So I had to go the civilian route in order to do that. And there's a lot of out-of-pocket expense, but what wouldn't you do to live well? If it meant going to Pennsylvania to see an eye doctor, wouldn't you do that to keep your vision?
Sure.
If that's what you feel like you need one, and your physicians, now people wake up every day and want to, let's say, say this is my emotional snake. And be like, what? You better go to PetSmart with that, But you can't just, get an animal and classify it as something. And what I do want the listeners to know is there's a difference between emotional support and service. And a lot of times, as let's say the business owner, you can walk into a business and you don't know the difference. You can't ask because that becomes a HIPAA violation at that point. They ask somebody, hey, and I've had people say things to him like, well, what's wrong with him? And he won't respond to that because I taught him that who he is dignified. He don't have to explain why he got the dog. You can see he got a dog, and that empowers him to stay firm in his personality, And I tell people when people ask you, and if you want to make it an educational moment, then do so. But if you feel it's intrusive, then you don't have to. But as a business owner, I think there needs to be more education on it. I think your staff should be trained. And for instance, when you look at my son's service dog, you see a patch on there. That's the patch from North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. They have a branch that deals with service dogs. But if you're not in the service dog community, you wouldn't know that exists in Raleigh. If you look on the vest and you don't see something like that, then that's a good indicator that they ordered that off of Amazon.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll be going to a break here shortly. I would imagine that there are some stereotypes that people have simply because they don't know.
Absolutely.
Right, with regard to service animals. And like you're saying, so a true service animal and then someone having a pet or a dog for emotional support, two different things. Like
Absolutely. ADA supports service.
Right.
Wherever we go, he goes.
Right.
And if it's a situation where you don't want the dog in there, then you can leave. I've had businesses here in Fayetteville that when he goes in to eat would ask, say, 150 degrees outside and want to put him on the balcony.
Oh, yes.
And want to put him on the balcony. That's non-existent. Only thing I need is a phone call. Where you at? Let me speak to the manager. I get somebody in management on the phone. If they not understanding, then I just, I'll do a dispatch, send an officer out there. I've had officers tell a restaurant here, if he can't come in here, you got to close right now. And they like, whoa, because ADA is major. Mm-hmm. You need to know the American Disabilities Act. You got to know that these animals that are trained can go anywhere the individual goes. And when you deny that, that's a problem. I took him to a new physician a couple of weeks ago, and when we walked in, the lady was like, you need to sit over there. I'm scared of dogs and I got allergies. I said, no, ma'am, he sits where he wants to sit. And she said, well, he can't sit over there. No, ma'am. I looked at him. I said, do you want to sit over there? He said, no. I said, well, sit where you want to sit. And when I got to the back, I talked to the office manager because to me, that becomes an educational moment. You don't see the dog and send them to the balcony. You don't, to me, it reminds me of that back of the bus type stuff. You don't see the animal and then make them move.
Cool. Well, look, let's go to a break. We have Dr. Yarborough, Brother Brian Thomas, and your son's name again now?
Sire.
Sire.
It means king.
Okay, I got you. We'll be back for more talking about service dogs, and hopefully you're getting something from this. I'm sure that Dr. Yarborough will have some sites and things you can go to and get more information following this, because this is going to generate probably a lot of questions, and I don't think you can answer them all right now. But anyway, we do appreciate you being here. We're going to a break, and we'll be right back.
If you can no longer work because of illness or injury, you should be collecting Social Security disability insurance benefits. Call Brent Adams now for a free consultation. Don't give up just because you've been turned down. Brent Adams has helped thousands collect full disability benefits, even after they've been turned down. Call now, 910-888-8888. Don't hesitate. Call 8. At Brent Adams and Associates, we make things right.
Are you looking for an opportunity to serve the community? Become a part of the decision-making in the City of Fayetteville government and apply to fill an upcoming vacancy on our boards and commissions. You can apply now through July 31st by visiting fayetteville.nc.gov/boards. Click on the red apply button found in the middle of the page. Boards and commissions are a great way for residents to engage in their community and help build a greater Fayetteville.
Another heat wave is on the way. High temperatures will be climbing into the upper 90s today and tomorrow, flirting with high temperature records both days. The state health plan says Duke Health will be made an access provider under the plan's new tiered system. Also means many Wake Med patients will be falling into the non-preferred tier. The man accused of killing a couple during a shuttle bus crash near Raleigh-Durham International Airport on July 4th made his first court appearance. He remains under $300,000 bond. Barry Hayes was booked into the Wake County Detention Center following his release from the hospital. The New York Times filing a motion to quash subpoenas the Justice Department served on journalists who reported on security concerns involving the new Qatari-gifted Air Force One. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche confronting skeptical questioning at his Senate confirmation hearing. Argentina beat England 2-1 to reach the World Cup final. They play Spain on Sunday. Tony Rixby, NCN News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. Join the Fayetteville Police Department's Special Olympics Committee today, 4 until 6 p.m. at Texas Roadhouse and Bubba's 33. Go head-to-head in a friendly competition to support Special Olympics North Carolina. Whether you're craving a juicy burger, a hand-cut steak, or looking for a great excuse to skip cooking, your meal will help support an incredible cause. Again, it's today, 4 until 9 p.m. at Texas Roadhouse or Bubba's 33. Have questions, ideas, or feedback about Cumberland County? Coffee with Commissioners is your chance to connect with your county commissioners in an informal setting. Ask questions, share what's important to you, and learn more about the projects and initiatives shaping the community. There are upcoming events on Tuesday, August 4th, 6 until 7 p.m. at Bethany Rural Fire Department Station 12. There's also another on August 19th and coming up later this month. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
The big heat has returned thanks to our heat dome that is in place. Later on this afternoon, we're expecting our mid-90s to 100 degrees to show up. There could be tying of some old record highs. Mostly clear, lows in the mid-70s tonight. Heat index values for Friday and Saturday should exceed 105 degrees, probably seeing heat advisories issued. The high temperature for Friday in the mid-90s to 100, maybe a few storms showing up on Saturday. I'm meteorologist Mike Mays in the NCN Weather Center.
You ever notice how most helpful information always seems to show up just a little too late? Like, oh, the deadline was yesterday. Or,
you know you could have saved money if you'd done that earlier.
Timing matters. With smart timing, you can lower your energy costs by running appliances like washers, dryers, and dishwashers outside of peak hours. And by adjusting your thermostat just a few degrees higher between 3 and 6 in the afternoon, you can save even more. It's a simple shift that helps reduce strain on the energy grid, supports a more sustainable future, and keeps power reliable for everyone in our community. Because at Fayetteville PWC, we're committed to being environmentally responsible, dependable, and deeply invested in the place we all call home. Timing matters, and smart timing means savings. Learn more at startsaving@faypwc.com.
The big heat has returned thanks to our heat dome that is in place. Later on this afternoon, we're expecting our mid-90s to 100 degrees to show up. There could be tying of some old record highs. Mostly clear, lows in the mid-70s tonight. Heat index values for Friday and Saturday should exceed 105 degrees, probably seeing heat advisories issued. The high temperature for Friday in the mid-90s to 100, maybe a few storms showing up on Saturday. I'm meteorologist Mike Mays in the NCN Weather Center.
And we're back now. Dr. Yarborough here, and with others, we're talking about service dogs and, during the break. Now, talk about your son when he graduated from Fayetteville Technical Community College and what happened with his companion as well.
Yeah, when he graduated from Fayetteville Tech, his service dog graduated as well. They fitted him for a cap and gown. They went into making provisions, as well as Fayetteville State will be doing the same things in December. And I'll kind of let Mr. Thomas kind of tap in on that with a lot of what they're doing is preparation with Dr. Cromartie and Disability Services. So this is to prepare for him to graduate begins months, 7-8 months well before graduation. But we had an excellent experience at Fayetteville Tech, and I expect the same type of experience or better at Fayetteville State, because now he's getting his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. We're on a quest for him to be educated in an area that he loves and have a job where he can bring his dog.
Sure.
So once he leaves Fayetteville State, he's decided he's going to attend North Carolina Central University and major in library science. And I said, well, why do you want to be in the library? He said, because I'm a librarian. He said, because I'm a librarian. And
that works.
And I can bring my dog. And
Excellent.
I said,
Okay,
and Fayetteville State's been good to him.
Excellent.
Like, they absolutely love him. He loves being in the library with Miss Young and Miss Walker and that team over there. So he loved him different. And I can tell how they, the dynamics between the three of them and the acceptance he's received at Fayetteville State and Fayetteville Tech is phenomenal.
Sure. Mr. Thomas.
So when it comes down to Fayetteville State, what many people don't remember or don't know is Fayetteville State is also family state. So being the family is also being that village. So the Office of Disability Services, Dr. Cromartie is his case manager. And one of the things as we prepare for Sire to get to graduation is understanding Fayetteville State has the winter graduation that will take place on campus versus the spring commencement that will take place at the Crown. As we prepare for the winter commencement, we have to prepare Sire because that is going to be a smaller commencement. Making sure that he knows where all the exits are, making sure that Ragnar is comfortable, making sure that Dr. Cromartie and him have that personal relationship where so if she sees something is off, she knows how to come and get him, and she also has the cues for Ragnar.
Okay. And Ragnar is the Malinois pet, and so I'm calling him a pet, but he's the service dog, and he's a nice dog. You said he must like me, huh? 'Cause when I came out, I walked up to him, but he saw I wasn't aggressive or anything. Besides, I'm a dog person.
Well, and I think inadvertently he knows that because we watch his ears, his tail, his mannerisms tell us what's going on.
Right.
He does not do that for everybody. I've seen people that, in general public, let's say if he likes to go to Comic-Con and you got people all over the place, and I can watch how Ragnar moves through the crowd, and he's really blocking them people from him. Mm-hmm. Because when he walks, he kind of crosses over like his front 2 steps, because he's protecting him on every end. And for you to come up and say, hey, puppy, he turned around, he didn't even get up, like you a homeboy. And that, like he didn't jump up on all four. No. He didn't try and sniff you to see if something else is going on with your metabolism. Because a lot of people understand Ragnar, Belgian Malinois are sniffers. All dogs are sniffers.
Right.
But they sniff to determine metabolism changes. They can smell what medication you're on. If when you're hypervigilant, you sweat more. Mm-hmm. Or he's smelling you to see if you okay to be around him. Right. And the fact that he didn't even jump up on his feet, I was like, oh, so he good people. We start talking to ourselves about you based on what we saw him do. And then I looked at Sire and he looked at me because he didn't move for you.
Ragnar, I'm cool, okay?
Yeah, and he let us know that.
Right. Well, what about, though, like I said, we talked about stereotypes and how people have these false ideas about service animals. There needs to be a lot of education, no doubt.
It does. We need to kind of break the barrier on preconceived notions. on myths of what the dogs can and cannot do. The service dog world is a complete world of its own. I didn't learn as much until I got involved, and because I'm a special educator behind the scenes, I inundated myself in it, and that's how we end up with my business, which is Red Wolf Threat Management Services, because I saw what service dogs did for our family. And when I first started this quest, I was thinking the service dog would be great for him. You know, he'll be independent. He lives independently. He has smart home technology, one of the first in the county to get it. I had to take him to Mooresville, North Carolina, just to train for the smart technology. As you'll see right here, excuse me, I have 3 phones.
Okay.
One of these phones work the entire house. I know, you know, with the technology, it lets me know when the stove is on, the refrigerator's open, the door is open. It's not the regular ADT.
Okay.
It's called Simply Home Technology, which is also covered under the Innovations Waiver for the state. Innovations Waiver is a cliche word, folks, for individuals that are IDD and services that they can receive through their, what we used to call the LME. You hear the names like Alliance and Trillium, and I think for some counties it used to be East Point. But back in the day, it started off as just, you know, the local mental health entity. There are services to where individuals with service dogs can still live independently. And they also have resources through Community Navigator that assist with you having a dog, because there's an expense that come along with having service dogs. Service dogs have to have a wellness plan. There's no way to get around that. People that opt not to have one means you opt not to have a plan for something that's as important as your child. So in order for him to continue to be healthy and safe for him, then I have to make sure that the service dog is okay. They also need health insurance. I've partnered with Healthy Paws, which is one of the ones that we use. You can also find different insurance agencies for pets. AKC also has a very good healthcare plan. If he's sick, things happen, you need to still have that coverage. Why? Because they're working dogs. They're investing in you, they're investing in your family. When we added Ragnar to the family, he didn't just help him, it helped me. I knew as a person with somebody in their family that's disabled, the worst fear is always somebody gonna hurt them, somebody gonna manipulate them, somebody gonna use them, something's gonna happen to them. Because there's people in the world that prey on individuals that don't think and perceive the world the way that you do. And one of my fears was, okay, I gotta make sure he's safe. He's safe. He ain't gonna get lost. And we definitely know he ain't gonna cross the street. You know, he ain't gonna cross the street without him. He can't enter unknown buildings because he's on surveillance mode. He's making that first step in this building. Watch when we come in and go out.
Right.
He's making that first step because he's already clearing it to make sure that he's where he needs to be.
Sure.
And he's vetting the people constantly that's around him.
Sure. Let's get some feedback from your son.
Definitely.
Well, how am I going to start this? Well, hello, I am Sire Yarbrough, and I'm the son of Mrs. Yarbrough, aka my mother.
Well, let's tell them, Sire, who is Ragnar in our family?
Ragnar, for example, he's like the Scooby-Doo in our family, but like a Belgian Malinois version.
Yeah, he's on every set. Now, when I tell you he's on every set, he goes to every room. He's checking everybody. You know, even if something's in my backyard, we let the dogs out. They patrol the perimeter, and a lot of times I watch them in amazement. And that's being the dog owner, because every day I'm still learning. I'll sit at my table and just look out the back door, and I watch them. And you know their abilities are more than just service. Like he can jump 8 feet flat without running. Like he would jump. One matter of fact, I think Sire scared one of our neighbors one time because he told her, she was like, "Oh, he can jump over that." She said, "He can jump over it," and the woman was gone in about 60 days. She sold that house so fast it make your head spin. I said, "Sire, don't tell him he's looking over the fence because they can. They'll just like."
But a lot of dogs can.
Yeah.
That's.
They jump up. He'll run. He'll jump. He'll look over it. and then he'll come back down. About a couple of weeks ago, we had a situation where one of our neighbor's kids got hurt on a trampoline, and my dog could hear it in the house through the back door. Mm-hmm. And when she ran out, I thought the water was hot, and I looked at my oldest son and said, hey, put some ice cubes in the water. She went to the water, she licked a little bit, and she cut out to the fence and barking. Then she came back to me, and she began to bark at me. I was like, what's wrong with Jazzy? Now I looked at her. I said, what's wrong? She was barking, and then she cut out again. So I put my boots on. I said, oh, God, it's another snake in my yard. I thought we were going to find another snake. And I went over there, and I could hear a faint cry of a child between the fence. And I ran back through the fence. I ran back through my back door. I flew straight out of the front door. I was texting my neighbor, hey, I hear your baby crying. I went to the front door, and the little girl the baby was on the trampoline with the bigger sibling. And what they didn't know is when the bigger sibling jumped, it threw the smaller child in between the trampoline, and she was hanging like this.
Oh, my.
Hanging by her head. But the dogs heard that.
Yeah, well, dogs are sensitive, and dogs know the difference between different cars. So they know, just regular dogs, they know your car sound versus another car sound. That's why when you drive up, they either run, if they're outside, they run to the fence or they run to the door because they recognize the sound of the car.
Yeah,
right.
And the training is phenomenal. I can walk in. We'll walk in the morning, and I'll ask right now, I say, did Sire take his medicine? Tell it. He'll walk over to the medicine bag.
Oh my God, I remember.
Sit, and then Sarah looked at him and said, snitch. So I talk to him to get answers about him.
Okay.
And he's going to tell it. And once you learn your animal, because he's paired for him. Right. But we had to learn as his team, what does those indicators mean? And the same way I said you was a homeboy when we walked in, he didn't even get up. He didn't get up to check you. And he responded to you. Normally he don't respond to other people talking. He's in stealth mode because that's his job. It don't matter what's going on around him. We can have a whole hurricane. He ain't gonna get nobody out with him. The rest of us, we on our own. We gotta figure out our own first aid. He gonna take care of him.
Right.
And that's his job. But I would encourage families that that want to do that journey, definitely look at the resources. If you're receiving services for the county, regardless of your disability, talk to your case managers. Start with your personal care physicians, your primary care doctors that you go to. Say, hey, would I be a candidate for this? And you're going to see your therapist. You're going to talk to them about medication administration for individuals that can make their own decisions. If you want to step down off of some of the things you're taking for mental health issues, depression, anxiety, other things that the dogs can help with, talk to them first. Just don't run out and say, I want a service dog. You may have a condition that the service dog doesn't accommodate. You may have something that, you know what I mean. You have to be paired for that. And even though we're talking about Belgians today, because we're a Belgian crew, a Belgian may not be what you need. For guide dogs, they recommend the golden Labradors, the English Labradors. It's different dogs that are trained or have certain abilities that would be different than a Belgian Malinois. One of my dog assessment guides, he actually, when he first met my son, I was taking him to an appointment, and he was like, oh, wait a minute. And he was security. And that's how I ended up meeting Mr. McNeil. He did executive protection. He did security for the LME here on 711 Executive Place. He turned around and came back to me and said, that's a Belgian. And he's service? And I said, yes. Because most of the time they're thinking that, a dog with that's got a high prey drive, or they're very high strung, they're very athletic, they wouldn't pair well as service. And then when I began to tell him about Creations Canine and Mr. Wrigley, and he said that's the combo. I had to give him all the information on who Sire is, not just the medical piece. What's his favorite foods? Where does he like to go? He had to know him. Almost everything down to where his birthmark at. He needed to know him in order to pair an animal that would do the right thing for him. And then he began to train him according to what his needs were. So it's not cookie cutter, and not at all. We could have that same animal and, and each one of us have something different going on. That's what your dog is trained for that. And that's where another difference comes in with emotional support. Emotional support is just emotions. It's not the training.
Sure. Well, for dog lovers out there, and I'm a dog lover, I just ran into a guy 2 days ago. We were at a fast food restaurant, and I pulled up, and I noticed his dog in the car with him, and we went in, we started a conversation. Dogs have built-in things, the ones that are trained. This was an Australian Shepherd. And I started laughing. I said, I bet when you take him off that chain, he starts hurting things, don't he? Because they automatically...
Yeah, they're herders.
They're herders. That's built in them. You say, why is he doing that? Because he's built to hurt. If it's a lot of people, he starts walking around hurting people because it's built in them. They herd sheep, But I enjoy the pets, and I think that they are of great benefit. Even the emotional, even if you step down from service to emotional.
And you need emotional, then definitely
Right.
talk to your physicians, get what you need.
Yeah.
If you think that's something that you need, go to the people on your team. There are a lot of resources, but it's kind of a world outside of a world. You get more information when you step into the mental health entity of it.
Sure.
Because they know more than, what your practitioners are. But for a lot of us, your insurance has to do that referral.
Right.
To send you on this journey to pair you with the right animal, even determine if you need an emotional support animal on campus. I know a lot of students that, hey, they do the paperwork through disability services. I need a emotional support animal. Then there's still some paperwork that has to be done, and there's still paperwork that the university requires, so that there's not an issue of litigation or you sitting in class with an animal that's quote unquote emotional support and they're growling or snapping at somebody because, your little Shih Tzu is not, displaying what it should be doing in an environment like that. So I encourage you to, if this is something that you want to do and you think you'll benefit from that, definitely go online. You can check out my website to be one at redwolfmanagement.com. Mr. Thomas here is, has a Ride Right services. We'll leave his number, or he can say his number and give you guys his contact information. If y'all see my baby out here in the streets, I want y'all to say hello. Don't be scared of the dog. The dog will tell him who you are without your name. He'll let him know if you're good enough to speak to him.
Sure. Well, your business is, you got a website?
Yes, I do. It's Red Wolf Threat Management Services. So you can go to redwolfthreatmanagement.com. I have a lot of these resources listed on there. You can click in there and pretty much tell me what your needs are. We do, again, he has transportation services. I offer counseling. I try and navigate and put you with individuals to help that can kind of see what your needs are. I'm also doing general contracting, which is something new. We're building, I'm trying to get out of the tiny homes, cottages or smaller homes for individuals with disabilities, because Cumberland County is a tether county. And one of the issues that we're finding with individuals with service dogs is that if you live in an apartment, you can live there. But when you walk out the door, the animal has to be tethered. Mm-hmm. So I'm on a quest to partner with individuals that are going to build homes for individuals with service dogs or just with your animal, period. So when you open your back door, they can run to the back to the fence. Other services that mitigate issues when traveling, and we do a lot of traveling with the dogs, is a website called bringfido.com, which identifies all of the Airbnbs, all of the hotels and places you can bring your dogs with fenced backyards. So I don't stay in regular accommodations. We look for accommodations that are specifically based on dogs. We look for flying accommodations on the dogs, any type of traveling. And it's your home, your life then becomes centered around what the dog does for you.
Sure. So, Mr. Thomas, your information?
Yes, you can reach me at 910-551-4362. And
say it again a little slower.
Yes, that is 910-551-4362. And then based on whatever you need, may it be driving, for short distance or long distance, May it be flying, we do that as well. And then if you have other questions, such as you might be nervous because this is a new diagnosis or you are new to having a service dog, I'll answer those questions too.
Excellent. Well,
yeah, he does the travel piece. I want to reiterate that because a lot of times we think we can't go nowhere with the service dog. Service dogs go wherever you go and are protected by ADA. And if you contact Mr. Thomas, what he does is he plans our trips ahead of time. Let's say you want to go to,
Let's say you want to go to Atlanta.
yeah.
When you go to Atlanta, I make sure that, let's say you want to stay at the Georgian, I already know that they have the dog bed. I already know where the dog parks are. I already know what restaurants are going to be there for you.
Okay, I don't want to go to Atlanta. Send me to Nashville.
Okay, so we'll make sure you have your Tennessee barbecue and all of that. I'll make sure that all your accommodations are handled.
And we have a restaurant where the dog can have some freedom up under the table and all of that good stuff. But yeah,
And the dog can handle the guitar music, okay? We know we're going there.
Oh yeah, he can handle that.
Okay, all right, we're good.
He can handle that. But I encourage the listeners to be, first of all, be great pet parents.
Yes.
And be prepared for the journey of service dogs and emotional support.
See, that's what he saw right there.
Dog dad, that's what's up.
I need that in black.
Yeah, that's what's up, dog dad. So definitely be prepared for the journey. It's worth every, what I consider tedious moment.
Right.
There's a lot entailed, but don't you want a lot in the end?
Yeah.
What wouldn't you do to live independently?
Sure. Well, look, we're up and happy birthday again.
Thank you.
That's what initiated our conversation, her birthday recently. And we wound up here today. But we thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
And certainly congratulations, young man, for all that you're doing. And certainly congratulations to your partner as well. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank
And
you
certainly
for your
all
time.
you guys do.
And for having us here today. And we'll
Thank you
make
very
sure
much.
you guys get an invitation December the 11th. My baby walk across that stage. You're going to be on the big TV. But I want, more importantly, his accomplishment to with the service dog to be something that you remember. And more important, like I was saying, the team behind it.
Right.
You know, it didn't start yesterday. And Mr. Williams, we want you in the building now. I'm going to hit you up.
All right.
You know I can find you.
That's right. That'll work. Well, look, guys, we're out of here again. Thankful for our producer today, Miss Tammy Quick. And again, she's good. She's
Absolutely.
the best.
Yes, she is.
We appreciate
That's right.
her time.
All right. Well, look, thank you guys. And have a great rest of your day. It's supposed to be hot today, so, take care of that. And those individuals that do have pets, don't leave them in the cars.
Absolutely
And
not.
all of that. It's too hot. Or your children.
Right.
Don't do
Please,
that
not
either,
the
okay?
children.
Children are worse.
This is true. Anyway, we're out of here, guys. Have a great one.